These are the clickiest switches I have ever used on a keyboard. You just heard a quick sound test. That's exactly how they sound. They do rattle a little bit more than any of my other keyboards I've had, but the reason I'm using the G915 is because I'm testing other full-size keyboards because I'm finally retiring my Logitech MX keys that I have back there. Now, the reason I went with the Logitech G915 was because I've heard a lot of good things about Logitech. This is obviously part of their premium gaming lineup, so this doesn't look kind of like for the office really, but I've also already tested their MX mechanical switches from the MX mechanical keyboards, and I honestly didn't really like that much. They felt a little more mushy than I was used to. So for this one, I went with the Clicky switches because in the other one, I used the browns and they felt a little mushy. So I was hoping that using the blue Clicky switches was going to give me more of that tactile bump that I really like in a keyboard. And honestly, I really like how these keys feel. The switches are really clicky, I should say, just like you heard at the beginning of this video. And I really like the typing feel of this keyboard. The huge plus that this keyboard has is that this is going to be a full-size keyboard. So it does have a number pad on the right side, so I can go ahead and type all of my data sheets and all of my spreadsheets that I work on. I do work in a lot of spreadsheets at my full-time job, so having the Q2 was a little bit difficult just because there's not really a number pad. So anytime I wanted to type in a number, I had to use the number road, and that was kind of getting tiring. And like I mentioned, now that I'm using a lot of mechanical keyboards, I can't really go back to the MX keys. They feel a little bit too thin, and whenever I type on them, they don't really have that much travel. So I don't really like them that much anymore. So I'm switching over to a mechanical one, and I am going to be looking for a full-size mechanical keyboard. Now, I have tried the MX mechanical keyboard to replace my MX keys, but I didn't really like the mini version of it. There was a lot of mushiness, and the ABS keycaps were actually a little bit cheap. That's why I went with their more premium G915 keyboard that's made for gamers, but it does have a lot of macros just like I do on my Keychron keyboard, and it works really great with Mac as well as Windows. Now, this keyboard is a full-size keyboard. Like I mentioned, it's premium. It has a couple of kick-up feet. It has 2 different inclines in case you want to do that, and it's also low profile, which is another reason why I went with this one. I was kind of not really into having a giant wrist rest on my desk here, so I went ahead and went with a low profile. I thought that would solve all of my problems because then I didn't have to move my keyboard along with the wrist rest whenever I wanted to move it positions, like if I wanted to type now sideways because I have my monitor here. That really didn't mean now the wrist rest was also dangling, and it also helped me with my wrist pain that I was having. So I went ahead and went with a lower profile keyboard. The lighting on this keyboard is actually really good looking. All of the keys light up because they are ABS material. That means that all of the LEDs can shine right through the keycaps. The only thing that you can't see are all of the symbols on the number row. And like you have the and side, the percentage sign, all of that you can't see. And then also the number pad has a couple of other keys on there or other key legends, I should say, that you also can't see because they're not see-through. But whenever you're using it, I hope that where you are using it in your workstation, you do have at least some kind of lighting. And then whenever you want to switch into gaming mode, you really won't be using all of those extra key legends. You mostly will be using all of the other keys. Now, like I mentioned with the MX mechanical, I didn't like the brown, so I did get the clicky blues on this one. And I really like the typing feel. If you're someone that likes to audibly hear when you are typing, this is going to be a great keyboard. The switches feel really nice. You can type really fast. They're really light switches, and the blue ones are really clicky if you're into all of that sound. Now, the setup was relatively easy. There is an on and off switch that you can click. That way you can go ahead and save some of the battery. All of these lights can drain the battery quicker if you're always leaving them on. And then you also have multiple connection options. You can hook it up to your computer wired. You can also use a Bluetooth one here, and you can also use the dongle that it comes with, which is, I believe they call it Lightspeed. It's really just their own little personalized, or I guess their own proprietary connection that you can use whenever you hook it up to your MacBook. Now, that is another reason why I moved away from the Q2. I was looking for a wireless keyboard so that I can go ahead and have a cleaner desk and not really be worried about the wires. Again, whenever I move my keyboard around, whenever I want to shift it, I did not want to be limited by a wire. So I went ahead and was looking for a wireless solution. Now, the first thing I noticed is that you cannot do multiple Bluetooth connections. Now this has been a standard in a lot of keyboards, even the MX keys and the MX mechanical have it. You can go ahead and hook up to 3 devices, but unfortunately this one you can't. Now that to me, I said, that's not really a big deal. What I can do is just use Bluetooth for my work computer and then just use a dongle for my at-home MacBook, just because I can go ahead and always keep it connected and then I can just switch modes back and forth. But unfortunately the dongle doesn't work on the newest Mac. I tried connecting it. The G Hub app works really great. You can download it. You can customize your keyboard if it's connected via Bluetooth. But whenever I connected the dongle, it seems that the software that they use for the dongle itself to connect is no longer supported on Mac. It only went up to Mac OS 12.1. Now this is really unfortunate because that was one of the main reasons, like I said, I was switching over to a wireless solution, was so that I can get rid of all the cables, because the last resort was to use this keyboard wired. But that didn't stop me. I said, you know what? I really like the keyboard. I like how low profile it is. I like typing on it. So I decided I can go ahead and just use it via Bluetooth, and whenever I work from home, I can just switch devices and it should be simple. It shouldn't be really much of a problem. But then again, what I noticed was that every time you turn this keyboard off and then back on, whenever it connects via Bluetooth, it makes you go through the whole setup process on your MacBook. Now that's when I realized that this keyboard might not be the best thing for me. I know it's kind of first world problems, but having to set up my keyboard every time I turn it off and then back on was really annoying, especially when you have all this RGB and you kind of want to enjoy it. But then when I go away from my desk, I do want to turn the keyboard off so that it doesn't drain the battery. And then when I come back to my desk, I would like to turn it back on. And just having through that setup process, I know it takes 5 to 10 seconds, but doing that multiple times throughout the day, if I ever leave the desk a lot, is going to get annoying for me personally. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be keeping this keyboard, even though I like everything else about it. So even though this keyboard is not for me, this could very well be for you. If you do have a Windows machine possibly that you use for work, and then at home you have a Mac, or vice versa, you can go ahead and use this keyboard. This is really great. You can hook it up to your PC via the dongle, and then whenever you want to use a Bluetooth connection, you can just switch over to your Mac. Now the keyboard does come with aluminum back, which makes it look premium, and it also does have a scroll wheel right above the number pad, which controls your volume. And that's really great. And like I said, if you also just want to use it wired, you can use this one. I personally, because I can use it wired, I went ahead and just instead started switching to other mechanical keyboards that could be wired, and I can mod out more in case I want to switch the keycaps or switch the switches themselves. But let me know down in the comments, are you still thinking of picking up the Logitech G915 for your MacBook? Maybe this is a solution that you have been waiting for. The keys do feel really nice and the keyboard itself is really premium. But as always, if you are thinking of picking up a keyboard that's this expensive, it might be better for you to also go and look up Amazon Renewed. You can probably get it a lot cheaper. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.